Hey guys, it's Gwen. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Today I'm sharing a DIY video filled with some spring farmhouse DIYs. I hope you guys enjoy this video. And as always, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. So moving on to the first DIY, I'm using one of these Farm Fresh signs from Dollar Tree, as well an assortment of greenery and florals. First thing I'm doing is taking some floral foam and just cutting it down to size just to fit the bottom portion of the sign. Now this is just some scrap piece of floral foam I had in my stash. I just cut it down to fit that part at the bottom and making sure that the pieces are even. Now if you have one long piece, you can just cut one whole piece, but I did not. So I was using some scrap pieces. Next thing I did was took this cute lemon themed ribbon, also from Dollar Tree, and I just cut a piece long enough to fit the length of this floral foam, just to cover it and disguise the foam so you wouldn't see it and give it more of a decorative look. I then took these floral and greenery pieces from my stash, but again, these are from Dollar Tree, and I just took the pieces from each of these stems that I wanted to use for this particular decor piece. I wanted this to have more of a lemon theme, so I made sure to use those two lemons that were part of this stem, and in keeping with that, that is why I used that lemon ribbon. And I just kept on with removing bits and pieces from different floral stems. Again, just using the pieces that I thought would fit and coordinate well in this one decor piece. Now you can make this arrangement any which way you want. If you wanted yours to be all greenery, you can do just that using boxwood, eucalyptus, any of those typical greenery found in farmhouse decor. You can also use lamb's ear, but I decided to go with this variation of greeneries and little floral pieces, as well as those lemons. And I think this fits in nicely with the Farm Fresh sign. What do you think? I think this sign is cute on its own, the way that they had made it with that little wooden dowel at the top. But again, we can spruce this up just a bit just to make it our own and customize it however you want, just to fit in with your own aesthetic. Now this would be perfect just to hang in your kitchen or dining area, or really anywhere in the house that you want to add a little bit of farmhouse charm. And I hope you guys like this idea. It was super easy to put together, as you can see. You literally can take little scrap pieces that you have laying around and just create this little arrangement. And it came together super quick, budget friendly, and I think it's cute. I hope you guys like this one. And the last thing I did to this arrangement was added a cute little ribbon to the corner, also using another style of lemon ribbon. And I did almost forget to mention that I added some Spanish moss. Actually, this is more of just like regular moss to the bottom, just hiding all of that floral foam as well as any gaps. Moss is always the answer when you're trying to hide any unsightly areas, and especially when you're making floral arrangements. It's perfect just to conceal the areas that you aren't necessarily appealing to look at, and it just adds a nice touch to the piece that you're making. And then I went ahead and added one last strip of the ribbon, same ribbon that I used to cover that floral foam, and I just did the same to the bottom, just so that you wouldn't see any of that foam. And this is the ribbon I was talking about that I used to create a simple shoestring bow to the side, and then I added a cute little button right in the middle. And that wraps up the first DIY. I hope you guys like this idea. Please let me know in the comments what you think. And the next farmhouse DIY that I have for you was super easy, very quick. Actually, a lot of these DIYs in this video are super easy and simple and easy to follow. I took these two wall decals and wallpaper, like peel and stick wallpaper from DollarTree, that brick design, as well as these measuring mason jar decals. Super cute. All I did was peel it off because they are peel and stick, and just attached it to this wallpaper. Now you can use any design that you want. If you have like a different type of wallpaper that you favor, that might have more color to it, or a different type of pattern to it, you can certainly do that, because as you can see, the mason jars are transparent, so you can see right through it. So whatever paper you choose for your background is what will show through. So I think if you use like a different type of pattern, it would be adorable. If you wanted to go with florals or fruits or geometric patterns, you can do just that. But I went ahead with this brick pattern here. I had a different vision for this DIY when I first started, but then it took a turn in a different direction, as a lot of DIYs do. And after I applied those mason jar decals to this wallpaper, I went ahead and fussy cut around each of those mason jar decals. Now, since these are peel and stick, it was easy just to remove the backing, the paper backing, using one of these Dollar Tree blank signs. Now you can also find the ones that come out seasonally for every occasion, and use one of those if you can't find the blanks like this. But all I did was peel the backing off of each of those wall decals, and then applied it according to size. And then, in keeping with the lemon theme, I just took the same lemon ribbon and added that to both the top and bottom of this sign. But then I also added some jute twine, just wrapping it multiple times around the top and just hot gluing it down into place. I went ahead and made a simple shoestring bow using this very cute green ribbon, and then hot glued that down to the center of that top ribbon, just adding a little more decorative touch to that top part because I felt like it was missing something. Then, to keep on going with the farmhouse look, I did take some scrap pieces of boxwood that I had laying around, just trimmed it down to the size I needed, and then hot glued that down to each side of this ribbon. And as I mentioned, this was a super easy DIY, super cute, just to hang in your kitchen. And the final thing I did was took a chip brush and some white chalk paint and did a dry brush over the entire sign, just adding a little bit of that rustic feel and also a little bit more contrast in color. So now we're on to DIY number 3. I'm taking more Dollar Tree supplies. This is a sign that came from Dollar Tree that says family, as well as this garden themed hanging decor, which I will be dismantling. It just came on this hanger, and I took all the pieces off of that string or that ribbon that it was hanging off of. So the first thing I needed to do was to remove the little galvanized metal piece on this circle sign, as well as that paper. So all the pieces are easily removable with the help of a heat tool as well as a putty knife. And if you really wanted to, you can also sand off all that paper. But as I mentioned, it's very easy. You just have to get in there and just peel it off. It came off pretty quick. And I debated whether I was going to paint this piece, but I figured with all the things I was going to embellish it with, it wasn't really worth painting since the majority of this circle sign is going to be covered. So because this is more of like an outdoorsy looking type of sign, I decided that I was going to use one of those peel and stick wallpapers. It's the same brick design that I used for the other DIY. This is just the leftover scrap pieces. So this is why it's good to never throw away your scraps, because they always do come in handy for little projects. So all I did was just outline half of that circle, and then using the other part of the scrap pieces I had, I did the same thing. Now everything didn't exactly line up properly, but that wasn't important because, as I mentioned, the majority of this sign is going to be covered using all those pieces that I took apart. And you'll see that here. So it wasn't really important to be precise in the way things measured out or anything like that. Now, if you were going to design something where it was going to be more visible, then obviously, you know, you want to be more precise in your cutting and measurement and things like that. But as you can see, once I had all the little pieces laid out and starting to put everything together, you would not even notice that the pieces didn't line up properly. So this is the part where I decided on the layout of all my pieces. I was trying to figure out the best way to fit everything and make it look appealing. And once I came up with that design, I just went ahead and peeled off those wallpaper decals or peel and stick wallpapers and just attached them to this round sign. Now later, if you wanted to ever change out this DIY and you didn't want it to look like this anymore, you wanted to maybe repurpose that circle piece, you can always just peel off the wallpaper because nothing has been permanently attached. And everything should come off together because everything's attached to the actual wallpaper. So once I figured out the layout that I wanted, I went ahead and hot glued all my pieces down into place. I also decided that I was going to attach both of those gardening tools together using some jute twine. And all I did was just wrap the utensils or the tools together and hot glued the jute into place. Now this sign here would be cute just to use on its own. You know, it is a rather small piece, so if you just needed to fill a small area, this would be perfect. However, you can also use this inside of a wreath, which is probably something I would do. So if you already have an existing wreath that's plain, and you just wanted to add some kind of signage in it, like let's say if you had like a greenery type wreath, you know, boxwood, lamb's ear, anything like that, anything like leafy or garden looking, this would be perfect just to add to the inside. But you can also use it on its own as well. The last thing I added here was scrap pieces of combination of greenery and florals. And again, these are just random pieces that are left over from different projects that I like to keep in a bag, just to use for DIYs like this, where you just need a little bit of greenery and stuff like that just to add to your project. So I did gather some of these pieces together, and then I was trying to decide where I should glue this. Eventually, I did decide to just sort of split the pieces apart and just sort of hot glue them down in a random fashion. And you'll see that here just in a second. And the last finishing touch was I added a jute twine and glued that to the gardening tools. And I think this came out super adorable. Let me know what you think. So for the fourth and final DIY of this video, which I think is my favorite, I use this blank round sign by Crafter Square, as well as that Home Sweet Home sign. Both are from Dollar Tree. And then I took this nice black and sort of a off-white ribbon from Joann's. And the first thing I did was I used some drop cloth fabric, and I decided that I was going to use that as my background for what's going to be a wreath or a sign. This can also be used inside of a wreath or on its own. It's very versatile. So I went ahead and traced around this wood blank onto my piece of fabric and then just cut around that. Now my fabric piece didn't come out exactly the right size of the wood circle. I think my scissors were a little dull, so they were coming out a little uneven in the edges, but you'll see how I fix that situation. And before I did anything, after I cut out the fabric piece, I did give this fabric a good hot ironing just to make everything smooth and wrinkle free. After ironing out my fabric piece, I went ahead and used some Aleene's tacky glue and spread that all over the wood blank and used a sponge brush just to spread out that glue. I would avoid using hot glue, especially if you're trying to adhere some fabric to your piece, because when hot glue dries, it tends to be bumpy and you'll have some unevenness, which will not look very nice. You know, your end result won't look that nice. So try to use a different type of adhesive if you can. And tacky glue works out just perfectly for me. And once I have all of the adhesive spread out, you want to make sure that you have your piece evenly coated. And then you'll want to go ahead and apply your fabric piece. I did use my brayer tool to help smooth out any wrinkles and just give this a smooth finish. And I really loved just how it was looking. Just adding that drop cloth to this wood round really adds a nice farmhouse touch. So the next thing I did was I took this Home Sweet Home sign and just removed all the pieces. I took the hanger as well as the greenery pieces off of it. And this is where it was time to decide on exactly how I wanted to lay out my pieces and what I wanted this sign or wreath to look like. Here's where I was trying to decide on all the pieces that I wanted to use. So I thought some greenery would definitely add to this design. So I opted to use some ferns, but you'll see that here shortly. I also had this beaded wood wreath on hand, and I thought, why not add this to this wood round just for more dimension and more of that farmhouse touch with the beads. And then of course I was gonna go ahead and use this cute ribbon right here, and I was trying to figure out how to incorporate this, possibly concealing those rough edges that I mentioned earlier. So that is essentially how I was going to disguise the uneven corner edges of this wood round. So as you can see here, I decided I was going to do like a folding technique, sort of like a V shape, just like this. And I did a dry fit, if you will, of a couple pieces just to get a visual of how I wanted my ribbon to look. So after looking at it and deciding, I do like the look of that, I decided to go ahead and cut all of my fabric or my ribbon pieces all the same length, just using the one as a template to make sure that all my pieces were even. And once I had enough to go around the entire piece, that is where the next step comes in, and that is folding these ribbon pieces down in this V fashion, just making sure to overlap it so that you have, it sitting nice and flat. So I did do this before gluing anything down. I went ahead and folded and tucked it underneath the beaded garland or beaded wreath, just again to get an idea of how many of the ribbons I actually needed and to actually see if I liked the look or the direction this was heading. And once I had all of my ribbon pieces cut out, I went ahead and started to hot glue all of the ribbon pieces down. Just making sure to follow the shape of that circle wood round. And it was just that easy and adds a very cute design element to the outside, as well as hiding all of the uneven fabric on the outer corners. So next it was time to assemble and add everything, all the elements to this wreath. I took this wooden beaded wreath, which was perfect. Everything was already formed and shaped, and I didn't have to do any stringing or hot gluing individual beads. Now, if you couldn't find this wooden beaded wreath, you can certainly take one of those beaded garlands that Dollar Tree carries and hot glue that into a circular shape. So the next thing I did was I took some black chalk paint and just painted around this Home Sweet Home sign. The color was a little more of a faded black, and because I removed all of the decorative pieces around it, it did leave some markings from the staples that were used. So in order to have even coverage, I just decided to paint the entire thing with this black chalk paint. and it added a more deeper, richer tone to this. And then I went ahead and hot glued that down into place. And since I am attaching this to fabric, hot glue was sufficient. There's no need to use any other type of adhesive because hot glue adheres well to fabric pieces. And then just went ahead and applied some pressure just to make sure everything was secure. And then the next thing was to add some greenery pieces. This was some nice ferns that I had on hand. Just cut off about 4 or 5 sprigs just to make sure I had enough to cover this evenly. I like to arrange my pieces where I have them flanking each side as well as the bottom, just to make everything even and balanced. And then all I did was hot glue those greenery pieces down into place. Now you could just stop there and that would look just fine, but I went an extra step and I felt like it needed something at the bottom. So I was debating if I wanted to add like a bow of some sort, but I figured since I had ribbons going all around this wreath already, I was like, let's just skip the ribbon and go with something different. So that's when I came to the idea of using some of the solo wood roses or solo flowers. And the ones I used were a combination from DollarTree as well as some other ones that I had gotten from a different place. I opted to use 3 of the roses, and I used a larger one in the center and then use the smaller ones on each side, and I think that adds a nice balance and touch to this wreath. Super adorable, looks French farmhouse in my opinion. And again, this would be really pretty just to use on its own. It's perfect, it's cute. But if you wanted to use this as an addition to an existing wreath that you may already have, something that's like floral or greenery type of wreath, this would be perfect. And you'll see in the final reveal how I styled it and just different options of ways that you can use this wreath as well as the one that has like the garden theme. You can use them individually or as an insert to a wreath, which is perfect. So stick around to the very end so you can see how I styled these items to give you some ideas. So the last finishing thing I did was added a piece of jute string to the back as my hanger. And usually when I make a hanger for my signs, I do like to use scrap pieces of felt or some type of scrap piece of fabric just to secure the edges down into place using some hot glue. That was it for this sign. Super precious and adorable. I love how it came out, and like I said, I do like this one the best. Let me know which one is your favorite. So let's take a final look at all the DIYs of this video. I think they all came out adorable. I love how they look. I hope you guys got some ideas and inspiration. And if you are still here, thank you so much for sticking with me to the very end. I appreciate you guys so much. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. And don't forget to let me know in the comments what you think. Say hello. I would love to hear from you. And if you haven't already joined my YouTube family, please consider subscribing. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you're notified when I upload a new video. And to all my current subscribers and viewers, thank you so much for coming back each and every time I post a new video. I appreciate your support so much, and I am trying to grow my channel, so I hope that you will stick with me through this journey. I hope to see you guys in my next video. Thanks again for watching. Take care.